My name is Andrea Heater. I went to University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill for undergrad and majored in exercise and sports science with a concentration in athletic training. And I went to University of Hawaii for grad school and majored in kinesiology. And I am from St. Augustine, Florida.
I'm Justin Bentley. I am also in the class of 2017. I went to Arizona State University. My major was health sciences, and I'm from Phoenix, Arizona.
Hi, my name is Lexi Miller. I'm graduating 2017. My undergrad was in biology at Campbell University, and my hometown was Cary, North Carolina.
Hi, I'm Chloe Greguska. I'm a first-year PA student. I am originally from Omaha, Nebraska, but I came out to North Carolina to go to UNC Chapel Hill, where I got a biology major.
So now I want each of you to go down and just describe how you or where you received your health experience before applying to the program.
I worked as an athletic trainer at a high school for 8 years before applying for the program, and I'm also a licensed massage therapist.
And I was a scribe in the emergency department. I did that for about 5 years.
I was a CNA at UNC Neurology Acute Care Center at Chapel Hill.
I was a CNA. I started in nursing homes and then moved to an emergency room.
All right, so now I want each of you to answer this question as well. What's your favorite aspect of the PA program?
As a dual public health and physician assistant student, I'd have to say my favorite aspect is the fact that I could come and do both of those programs at one location. The dual program offered me to achieve both master's degrees in 3 years, and it's really going to open up doors in my future and made me realize what aspects that I can excel in as a physician assistant and how I can best help the community.
I think my favorite thing was probably the faculty that we had here. As I went around to other PA programs I had applied to, I was impressed by them, but when I showed up here at Campbell, I was just blown away by the faculty they had here. There's really kind of just a strong family atmosphere, and that appealed to me.
That's probably my favorite thing as well as the faculty. They're just, they treat us like family, and it's kind of like home here. But I also really like just the campus and all the facilities we have here. They're super state of the art, and they spent top dollar to get us the best education possible. So
I definitely agree. I always say, when people ask, I always say the faculty and the facilities are the two things. But just like going along with that, the faculty is really flexible because we have 43 students in our class. Faculty, their doors are always open, and they're actually really open to suggestions and have actually taken things into account that we've suggested to change for our year and for the future classes. So that's something that I really like as well.
All right, so now I would like for each of you to tell, and Chloe, you can start with this, where you live and why you chose that location, and just kind of how far it is away from campus and your commute.
So I live in Lillington, technically, so I'm like 5-10 minutes away from the PA building. I was lucky enough to find another first-year PA student and a second-year PA student on Facebook before we started. So I live with two of my classmates. I absolutely love it. I love being able to go home during lunch, run up here on the weekends, and like I said, my commute is less than 10 minutes, and that's worked out really well for me.
So I live in Coates. It's probably about 5 or 6, maybe 7 miles down the road. It's a little bit farther away from campus than where Chloe lives, but it's really nice to kind of get away from campus. And I live in a big house with all DO students right now. So also I get to see other people besides just my classmates, and we talk about some things, and they've helped me out with some of the subjects, so it's nice to just get a little diversity. And it's a really big, beautiful house, so I have lots of space and room and a big yard, and I really like living in Coates. It's a short little drive. So
I actually live in Holly Springs, which is kind of just a little bit outside of Raleigh. So it's about a half-hour drive to get down to school, which most days I actually kind of appreciate, though, because you can kind of decompress or listen to lectures, and there's different podcasts that I can listen to, which is helpful. And it's also kind of nice to be up in the city where there's more stuff to do.
And don't you carpool with someone?
Yeah, and I'd say probably close to half of our class lives up in that direction, and so I carpool, and that's worked out great.
I live with my husband in Coates, like Lexi. We actually found our house on Craigslist, and we were really fortunate to find it because we have 180 pounds of dog that had to move up with us. So between the two of us and the dogs, we needed a fenced-in backyard. We love it. The cost of living in Coates is wonderful for a grad student. Was a very important aspect for us.
All right, so now I kind of want each of you to talk about how you balance school, family, social life, and still find time to be successful in the program.
That's kind of a funny question.
Justin?
Well, there isn't a ton of time when you're in the program, but I think it's been really helpful for me, at least. I think to at the beginning of the week, I usually look at my class schedule and then kind of write out all the things I need to get done that week and kind of goals. And so it's been really helpful for me to be able at the beginning of the week kind of plan everything out and prioritize what I want to get done. And so that's been helpful to be able to stick with school. I'm married and have 2 little girls, and so to be able to keep up with them and school and still be able to relax and have fun, I think just being able to plan everything out as you kind of heading into the week has been helpful.
Being an older student, it kind of took me a little bit of time to get back into the groove. So the public health program was really great for that last year. And then with my husband, we just find out what's really important to us and what time we need to spend together. So we make it a point to have dinner as much as possible together. We cook the dinner together, and just really that's an important time for us to sit down, decompress together, and just find some time. And if that means that I have to stay up an extra hour to study or 2 at night or get up early in the morning, then that's what it means. So between the two of us, we've really worked hard to find a good balance as to how we can come back to school together.
I know for me, my family lives really close. So, and all my friends that I've known forever also live really close. So it was a little hard for me to balance everything when I first started because all my friends still wanted to see me and all my family would still invite me over like I wasn't in school. But I've kind of learned how to prioritize school first because school does come first, and I've told everyone that. And then my family obviously comes second. So I spent a lot of time with my family, and sometimes I'm even studying with my family. But on special occasions, I do get to see my friends on breaks, and they know that school comes first, and if they're really good friends, they stick around. So.
Yeah, I think it's all about balance and prioritizing and deciding what's important to you. And I think we've all kind of gotten to a point in school that we realize that it is the first priority, but at the same time, if it's your child's birthday or your friend's birthday, I am going to take time out and enjoy that. And yeah, I might not get 100% on the test, but I'm still going to pass. I still put in a lot of work for school, and we say, what do those extra points really help you at the end of the day, or did taking time out to do something with your family help you? And I think we all need, for our mental health, you need to take a break. You can't study all the time, so it's just about deciding what's important to you and where you can spend your time.
Yeah, the breaks between blocks tend to help a little
Yeah.
bit
Yes.
with that as well. You can kind of balance out your time just knowing that, okay, I've got to get through these 2 weeks and push really hard, and then everything kind of comes together at the end.
Yeah, so there's 9 weeks of class, and then we get a one week break before we have to come back, and that time can be used for mission trips but if you don't pass all your classes, you do have to use that week break to remediate your classes.
All right, so kind of going off of that same last little bit, talking about instead of semesters, you're on block scheduling, and so talk about that and what a typical day kind of looks like for you as a PA student.
So a typical day, for me at least, well, I already explained what the block scheduling is. And so your first block is going to be, you have anatomy, so you have a lot more lab. You have at least 2 labs a week almost. So that's a little different, and you have practicals, and you also have what's called like checklists for H&P. So first block is kind of just totally different from the other blocks, but and then the rest of the blocks you have like Clin Med and Clin Skills and pharmacology, which all kind of go together and run together. And then you still have labs to review your history and physical exam findings. So a typical day for me looks like I wake up and I eat breakfast and try to find some like quiet devotional time for my personal spiritual health. And then I go to school, and we usually have 1 to 2 lectures in the morning from like 9 to 12, and then we have lunch. This varies from day to day though. And then in the afternoon, you might have another lecture, or like today we had a lecture and then a lab. So you can go from anywhere from 9 a.m. to like 4 or 5 p.m. at night. And it just kind of depends on the day. Some days we get out at 12. Some days, we have what's called early clinical experience, where we get to go out in the community and work on our clinical skills with real patients. It just really depends on the day. Does anyone else have anything else to add?
No?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say, yeah, typical day about 9 to 4, 9 to 5. Normally we do get an hour for lunch, and then, like Lexi said, so right now we are in block 4. Woo! And yes, we're nearing the end, so we're excited about that. But so all of our classes kind of surround around the same body system is how it's organized. So right now we're doing renal. So Clin Med, Clin Skills, pharmacology is all for the kidney. And then we'll take an exam on that for all of those classes. So it's normally 150, 180 question exam that's 3 hours long. But it's nice because we only have one exam every 2 weeks. So that's a lot different than some other programs. And I think that's what the block schedule changed for Campbell and for us, is that instead of having 3 exams a week on top of everything else, we just have one exam for all our classes every 2 weeks.
You tend to have plenty of time in the nights and weekends to catch up if you're behind, or if there's one night you need to spend time with your family or something, or anything like that you don't have time to study. You can definitely catch up and do that, do stuff with your family, kind of balance out your life and catch up from there. So there's some nights we're here a little bit later with class, but for the most part, like Lexi said, we're done by 5 o'clock, and you can use that time to study off the integrity or your notes or whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
Coming off of that, can one of you kind of speak about facilities and what Leon Levine and Tracy F. Smith have that most PA programs or health sciences programs don't have?
I know, I'll say that I in particular was looking at 2 other schools, one of which did not have an anatomy lab at all, and then one of which had one. So we have a full like cadaver lab. It's state of the art. There's like state of the art ventilation, so it really doesn't smell that much in there. Each PA student, or we work in teams of about 5 on, but we do get our own bodies. That was something else too, that some programs you're prosecting after medical students. But we're actually like in the lab first. We have our own bodies. And then the other part that I was going to say is we have a sim lab with, it's like 6 simulation models. And these models can do almost everything that a real human can. They speak, they breathe. You can listen to heart and lung sounds. You can start IVs on them, give them oxygen.
You can intubate.
You can intubate, yeah, like anything you can think of. And some other schools I looked at either had them, but they had one. And I mean, that's great. They're literally like $1 million pieces of equipment, but we have like 6, and the sim lab is a fully functional ER. They say that if a natural disaster happened, that everything in there is real. The meds are real, the oxygen works. And that, yeah, just coming to Campbell, I just was amazed of this facility and how new and great everything is.
We have the OSCE suites too, so we can do, we have standardized patients come out, and we go through exams for each body system that we're working on. So that's really nice. And we can also, a lot of these events are also interprofessional events. For the sim labs, we have pharmacists, student pharmacists come over and they help us out with those. Tomorrow we have an orthopedic lab, OSCE, and the physical therapist students are going to come over and work with us on that. So, and then the new building going up, we'll let you know as soon as we get
We also, another thing that separates us from other schools is we do an OSCE, like each system. Like Andrea said, most schools do not do that many OSCEs. So we get a lot of practice before we're thrown out into clinicals. And also, like I mentioned, we have ECEs where we get to go out and see real patients and before our actual clinical years begins. So.
Yeah, they've been really helpful. I think going into a lot of these activities when we first started, I thought like, all right, I can kind of play along with this. But after my first OSCE, where we have these people that come in as actors and pretend to be patients, and my first OSCE acted out a grumpy patient like to a T. I knew that like, this was real, and so it's been super helpful. You practice, and it's simulated as real as I think you possibly could be without actually stepping into a hospital.
Awesome. Right, so if one of you would just kind of describe, you talked about your didactic year and what that looks like. If one of you would describe your clinical year and how that kind of breaks down for you.
Still my job. So the clinical year, it has, we have 11 different rotations, 9 of which are required and 2 are electives. So 2, you can pretty much choose anything you want. I know they've talked about definitely like cardiology, orthopedics, some like peds, internal med, some burn unit, yeah. Trauma, ICU. Like they have crazy opportunities, anything you want, and they will also work with you to set something up if perhaps you worked in nephrology before you started school and you want to go back there. They will work with you to set that up. But so then those are the electives, and then going back to the 9 required, there is emergency medicine, family medicine, internal medicine, surgery, pediatrics, psych, OBGYN, primary care, which you do have an option. You can either like redo your family practice, you can do urgent care, you can do peds internal medicine, you can do geriatrics, and you can redo your internal med, just like adult internal med. And then the last one is EBM, so evidence-based medicine, where we come back to campus and work on I think it's like 10-page research paper on any sort of topic of your choice.
Each rotation is 4 weeks, and you come back on campus to do a comp exam for that class that you're doing. So you would have like an emergency medicine exam at the end of that 4 weeks, that 4-week rotation, and then you go right into the next one.
Right, if you guys, each of you would speak about, your community outreach opportunities that you participated in during your first year here at Campbell with the PA program, and then community service as well.
I've actually loved my community experience. That's one of the things that I really, really cherish about my experience so far at Campbell. Being with the public health department last year has really given me opportunity to get my feet wet, not only in Harnett County, but this year I was asked to go to Guatemala with them to work with the Mayan Families Organization over spring break, and the PA program was amazing and really helped get me there with them. So that was wonderful. We did a public health trip. It was installing stoves for families that cook on open fires in their homes. And there's a lot of respiratory disease in Guatemala. I could talk on that for hours. So we'll just go on to the other community service. There's always community service going on, not only just working with the patients at the early clinical experience that they were talking about. We have a Make-A-Wish golf tournament that we're working on as a PA program. We have done functions that help donate money towards specific causes, anywhere from animal shelters to with Jeans Days. We even go out and do for different functions. So there's a lot of outreach. We've done health fairs, and you really just get involved with the community, and it's by far one of my passions with this program. I just love how you get into it. It's great.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite parts is the that we actually have a student-run community clinic here. And so on Tuesday nights every week we have this community clinic, and we have occasionally we have walk-ins, but we kind of really have our set patients like you would with any other clinic. And so it's all student-run. There's usually 1 to 2 doctors there that work as your preceptors, but the students go in and we see the patients. You do all the documentation. You do most of the decision-making regarding like what labs and imaging studies you want to order. So the clinic's run really just like any other fully functioning clinic would be, but it's all run by the students. And so I've actually been able to be the PA, one of the PA representatives for that board. And so it's been a great experience to not only work in the clinic, but also kind of get hands-on experience on the kind of administrative and other side of running a clinic.
So like Andrea, I went on a mission trip, but I went on a mission trip to Honduras. It was a medical mission trip. So we went with a bunch of pharmacy students, some PT students, the DO students, and PA students. And we had faculty members from each different group. So it was kind of like an IPE, a big event. So we try to do IPE events, which is interprofessional experiences. And it was kind of a big thing there. But what I also loved about Campbell is we got to pray with the patients too and learn like how to spiritually help them too. So mind, body, and spirit is what Campbell kind of encompasses, and we got to do that too. We went with the North Carolina Baptist Men to Honduras, and we got to see over 1,200 patients who would not be seen by any medical providers in their country, and we got to work with local Honduran doctors too. And we brought all the drugs over from the U.S. We got them all donated and packed them up and shipped them over with us. And we just got to, love on the kids. And it was a really, really amazing experience. One of my other favorite community outreach programs that I did was the Harnett Smiles. Was that what it's
Yeah,
called?
the
Yeah.
dentist thing. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, I'll let Chloe talk about that one. That was my favorite too. So,
No, so the other thing that I wanted to say is, as a PA program, we do have a required 25 hours of community service for our didactic year, which, I mean, it's so easy to get. It's not even about the hours, but it's just crazy, because I think we do have a strong community health and public health focus, or we have all these IPE events. We really care about the community. I feel like there's literally like 5 things a week that we could be a part of. It's just, you can't even be on top of every opportunity that we have for service. But so as Lexi started to say, Harnett Smiles was an event that we had, I think in the fall.
was
Yeah.
it the fall or the spring?
A few months ago, and we were able to provide dental care to families in the community, and specifically children who either don't have access or for whatever reason. And we actually teamed up with, I guess it was actually an ECU dental clinic, but I was amazed. We walked into the place and it was I guess it was the ECU dental school, but so they have full stations, like you're at a dentist office. There were like 30 stations, and I just loved, I specifically had a little boy and then his sister, and so they're in the chair right next to each other, being able to talk to each other, and I got to hear, that's a completely different side of healthcare that I feel like I don't know anything about, but I was lucky enough to work with a dentist there, so I got to hear kind of her education pieces, and that's something that I think I can take with me to primary care. So
I like doing all the community service too, because something I've really been impressed with, especially coming from more of a big city, is that I've been impressed like how much the community here has kind of taken us in as students, and so I really like having the opportunity to be able to give back to them.
Okay, and then our final question is going to be about financial aid. So do you guys, the process for you, did you take out loans, do you have scholarships, grants? What is your way of funding school?
So loans, and then loans. The nice thing about it is that I myself am considering doing the United States Public Health Service once I graduate, or the Health Corps. So that's something where you can work for a certain amount of time, and I don't remember exactly what it is, so I'm not going to go into how much it is. But you work for a certain amount of time, and then you get a portion of your student loans forgiven for that. And you get, a normal paycheck that comes with it, and everything. So I just love, like I said earlier about the community service, I love working in underserved areas, and it's something that I'm planning on doing anyway, so I might as well go work for a place that can also pay for my student loans.
Yeah, I think going into it, I wasn't super aware of things, and so, and like most people, most of my money's from student loans, but I have PAs, as I've gone to school, I've learned how much need there really is for PAs, and so there's a lot of opportunities that you can work, like Andrea said, various opportunities where you can work and get a lot of your student loans paid off, and so I think I'm looking into a lot of those.
Yeah, I applied for financial aid with the school, so I got my loans through the school, and it's a pretty simple process. Everything's on the website. They also have a CPHS scholarship that you apply for every year, and I received one last year, which actually some of the money went to my mission trip. So the school really does try to provide opportunities to give money to you and provide some financial aid, and there's always a counselor you could go talk to about financial aid. But yeah, like most of us, I took out loans, and I'm not really sure what my plan is to pay them off. But
Yeah, all of my school money is from loans. I worked for a little bit before school started, but you don't make a lot on a CNA salary. So I pretty much had nothing saved, or that was just being kept for whatever may come up, for incidentals. But I took out everything on loans. And then the only other thing that is different that I wanted to mention is the FELS loan. That is something that if you are a North Carolina resident, I always get it wrong, but I think it's Forgivable Education Loans for Service. Okay, and you can look online. It's CFNC, and they offer $10,000 per year. So for the PA program, which is 2 years, you can get $20,000 max, and it's similar to what Andrew is saying. Of you get this money, you don't have to pay it back, and all you're required to do is work in North Carolina after you graduate for 2 years. So I planned on staying in North Carolina anyways. I wasn't quite sure what specialty or what area. I think I want to go back to Charlotte, so I didn't want to commit to something else at this point, but it's great. All I have to do is work as a PA in North Carolina, which I'm going to do, and get $20,000 for it. So
Yeah, the thing about these loans that I think is important to keep in mind is that it is a commitment, and it is something that if you do not commit to it, do not follow through with your commitment, you have to pay it back, and there are massive fines. So it's something that you definitely want to make sure you're committed to it, and that you're able to commit to it before you dive into something it's a serious deal. The other thing that I wanted to add with the public health program is that I was actually able to hold a graduate assistant position last year. We had classes mostly in the mornings, and then the afternoons were free to do our practicum experience, the community service that we had to do for program requirements, and they were wonderful. I actually worked for the assistant provost for the whole year, so I was able to actually work during that time, and I think I would say 70% of the people, if not most, even more than that, in the public health program were able to have jobs during that time, so that helped a lot.
Now, are any of you able to work now?
no,
Nope.
not even close. No.
there are a few people in our program who are definite exceptions. I don't know how they do it, but there are a few people who have worked while we're in the PA program. Faculty strongly recommends against it, and I mean, I think we can all attest to
Don't do it.
There's
Yeah.
too much going on, and when you do have time, you don't want to be working. You want to be able to relax or do something fun, do something with your family. So
And my understanding is that none of those people will be doing that next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
think there's
It's-
any
Yeah.
way that you could
That's
possibly
true.
do that, because you won't know from every 4 weeks what you're going to be going through. So
And it's also you're working and trying to study at the same time. So the little life you have, you don't want to be working again on top of working your clinicals. So
a little great life.
yeah.
All right, so if you could give one piece of advice to potential incoming PA students, what would you say to them before starting the program?
I have to think. Do you want to?
I would say don't do anything for as long as you can before school starts. I was lucky enough to take a month off, like an entire month off before the summer before we started, and I was actually back home at my parents' house. I went to the pool every day, and I'm so glad that I did. I know some people think about taking classes or trying to prepare more, and once you get in, like, they'll teach you everything you need to know here. Don't waste your time trying to study before. Just enjoy that free time while you have it, and yeah, come prepared, come well rested.
Yeah, that was my advice too, but we keep having the same ideas here. But yeah, also I'm the kind of person that if I could study all the time, I would. So maybe don't take it so, I don't want to say don't take it so seriously, but also, like, try to relax some. And it is a really intense program, but you also have to make sure you take time to de-stress.
Yeah, I think I would say, like, appreciate the time you're in now, because before you start, you're just really looking forward and excited to starting PA school, and it is exciting to be in PA school, but the journey and ride along before you get here is also a lot of fun too. And I think I kind of was just pushing that aside, just waiting for the time I could get into PA school.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm going to give one last hoorah for the public health program. I think if you have any interest in doing any sort of community service and you have the ability to think outside of the box, 1 + 1 does not always equal 2 in public health. So it's something that can be very frustrating, but if you have the commitment to doing something for the community and the desire to be a part of something, the public health program was life-changing for me. It really opened my eyes to a lot of things that I didn't even know existed here in the state that you live in the town that you live in the country that you live in the world that you live in. The faculty is amazing, and it was a very life-changing experience for me. So be open to that.
All right, well, I just wanted to thank you all for your time, taking some time out of your busy schedule to help us out